I didn't grow up in the cold. My home state spends 9 months of the year above 25 degrees. So what the hell am I doing here, putting on a wetsuit in minus 10 degrees? I watched a movie 4 years ago that changed my life. It was all about surfing in Iceland, chasing adventure, and making lifelong memories. And now, here I am, halfway across the world trying to chase down my own adventure in one of the world's most inhospitable places. We've got 5 days in total, flying out from the UK. I got in contact with Ingo, who runs Iceland's only surf company, for a bit of local knowledge and gear appropriate for the conditions. Our plan's quite simple. Start off on the south end, looking for local waves and taking in Iceland sights. Then slowly head north and finish in the very remote northern regions, not far from the Arctic Circle. Loaded with a board and a wetsuit thicker than I've ever seen, we hit the road, with a thirst for adventure outweighing even our bags full of every article of winter clothing we owned.
This is Erin, and Sam takes Iceland Part 1.
Day 1 proved why people don't surf here.
Yeah, I really don't think there's any surf happening today.
The constantly changing weather, firing Atlantic swell, and winds that appeared out of nowhere made finding waves a usually leisurely activity, but harder than I've ever could have imagined. We quickly learnt the value of appropriate clothing and realised this dream of surfing winter waves was going to be a lot harder to come to life. With nothing caught but a chill, we hunkered down in our cabin, swapped some cards while falling asleep to the Icelandic horses neighing in the distance. Hopefully day 2 could provide the result of our grandiose journey of adventure and excitement. Erin and I only met 12 months ago. I was in the middle of negotiating a work relocation from Australia to the UK. By the time I moved, we'd only been together for 6 months. We spent a third of our first year together on opposite ends of the world. During that time, I took a trip to Iceland and fell in love with the place. I had to bring her here, had to show her the beauty and the power of this land. Erin arrived in the UK 3 weeks ago, and now we're navigating this new life abroad. I grew up in very sunny Queensland, Australia. Winter rarely gets below 10 degrees. That's also made me hate the heat and chase out cold environments. I picked up surfing 2 years ago, and I'm the first to admit, I'm not very good. But what I lack in skill, I make up for in adventurous enthusiasm. And I don't really think it gets more adventurous than this. We made our way to the Snaefellsnes Peninsula, hoping to make the most of the northwesterly Atlantic swell. Bay after bay was either nothing or the most gigantic, ferocious ocean I've ever seen. Where we could access the water, we couldn't find waves. Where we found waves, we couldn't access the water. Our run on surfless days was really starting to mount up.
Guess why we need this? Pop it back in, eh?
With an incoming blizzard due, we made our way north. We wanted to make sure we were in safety by the time the forecasted 150km winds hit us. I've never seen such a remote and desolate landscape, and I surely didn't want to get stuck here. Surely this northern area would also hold our prize. If we can just get there. The storm we drove into didn't disappoint. In the darkness, we found our shelter, and it also turned out to be a holding pen for the next 48 hours as the snow built up outside. We've only got one day left at this point. I'm still trying to make the most of it, still trying to salvage what is left of this so-called surf trip that I'd spent years dreaming of. On the last day, the sun came out. The snow and the wind dropped off, and we were close to a local private beach. But there wasn't even a murmur in the water. I can't come all this way and not even get wet.
What are your final words?
It's gonna be cold. It's starting to snow as well.
I strapped into the wetsuit, I paddled out into the inky black water for some personal reflection time. Outside temperature was -10, the water temperature was 0, and the snow was starting to fall. I've been in the ocean many times in my life, hundreds, thousands, and yet this was somehow the most relaxing time I've ever had, despite the circumstances. Well, that was until I was joined.
What is that? There's definitely something out in the water there. What is it? What was it?
Seal!
Oh, he's so curious about you. He keeps popping his head up, being like, "Hello."
Yeah, sure, I had these grand ideas of chasing perfect winter waves just like my icons. And while my trip was a failure in one regard, it reinvigorated the sense of adventure that surfing's known for. The endless kilometres searching for that perfect break, the never-ending pursuit of what's around the next bend, and all that time finding what we're really here for. Creating the memories about the journey, not just the destination. Remembering these times forever. Because in a world where everything's at our fingertips and content is rammed down our throats, it's still as hard as ever to find just one cold wave.